Hello, everyone. This is Tom Ballard, and I am here with Coffee County Mayor Judd Matheny, and we are talking today about growth in Coffee County. We got some questions here. We're gonna ask him, but just first off, we'd like to dive in with just an overview of what Coffee County is looking at in terms of growth in the near term, and then maybe over the next 10 to 15 years, or even beyond that. So, if you want to dive in,
Sure,
Mayor.
I'll tell you everything I know and how we're trying to wrap our arms around it all. And a lot of it is educating the commission of what's coming and making sure that they have the information that I have. This office is always open, and we built a committee process, I think, that is doing business very well. We don't have any projects stalling right now that we have direct authority over. They're all pushing through and doing a great job. We do have, like, our health department is stalled a little bit, but that's due to federal regulations on how we're using some of the ARPA money, and we'll be moving forward with that. Animal shelter is moving forward. We just got $290,000 worth of land donated to put the shelter on. It's 3 acres on Highway 41. It's going to be the best site for any animal shelter, probably in the Mid-South, just due to the fact that it's not going to be by the dump like all the rest of them. It's going to be right on the main highway, which will be very advantageous in the future for adoptions and awareness. So we're moving forward with that, and rehabilitation of a lot of our buildings and things, and then long-term planning for a new Coffee County complex in the next 10 or 12 years. We're looking at trying to get 125 acres from the base, which is just past the landfill. It's off of their gated area, and there we could put a new justice center, new court system, new maintenance centers, all that together, and sell some of the very valuable property that we have and consolidate some things in the future. So we're looking long term, not only myself, but we have a strategic planning committee. We'll talk about that in your thing here, and their recommendations are due in just a couple weeks, and that will give the commission direction on how to spend money and time and effort.
Okay, so leading into that, how
Yeah.
does the Strategic Planning Commission work, and what time frames do they look at?
They've been meeting for about a year and a half,
Okay.
and it's a group that's made up of business leaders and commissioners and community leaders, and they've just been bringing in a host of individuals for topics that from real estate to industrial development to education, and just looking at their problems that they have now with growth, not only with their physical structures, but also how we're going to handle new influx of new students, new residents in the future, and how we're going to provide services to the county and how we're going to fund those services in the future. And they've met a couple times a month now for about a year and a half, kept some very good notes. Chairman is Lynn Seaborn. Many of you know him. He's county commissioner. We lean on him very hard. And there's a few other county commissioners on there. And very soon, hopefully in October maybe, they will have a presentation ready for the county commission. We'll have some type of work session with their findings, probably try to rate the different projects and things that they have, and then open it up for input from the public and the commissioners for any amendments, changes, and then that'll be some of our marching orders for the future. And some of it is going to be policy, and some of it is going to be how we're going to expend some funds. Sure.
Do we look at population growth going out a ways,
Yes,
and where it's going to happen in the county?
Yeah, and that's a moving target. Census says we'll have about 6,000 new people over this decade, and I think that's very low. I think we've probably already seen that now here near the end of 2023. I think we've already seen 6,000 new people coming here. My guess is going to be closer to 15 or 18, just due to some of the projects that are going on. Coffee County is in this figuratively in a good way, we're in the gun sights of the federal government and the state government for expansion, and people want to move here. We're developing a new industrial site here, and it's extraordinary. It's an extraordinary time to be here, and there's going to be a lot of change. Some of it will be gradual. Some of it you'll go to the supermarket one day and you'll say, "Man, I didn't notice that." And you can do that now. You can ride out to Beech Grove. You can go to Hillsborough. You can go out around the urban growth boundaries of Manchester, and it's every day you see a new house, a new neighborhood being built, and it's just extraordinary.
Yeah, I know. I drive around here, and sometimes I say, "Oh, I didn't see those apartments over there." It's just, yeah, pretty crazy. And yeah, speaking of that, first on my list here is the AEDC expansion, or Arnold Air Force Base for the old timers. We're looking at like 1,000 plus new employees.
Yes, we may see the base larger than it's ever been. in some ways. A lot of this is related to hypersonics, and I call it the modern day Manhattan Project. Of course, more people know about it, but some of the things going on with that base are absolutely incredible. And hypersonics and not only fielding hypersonic weapons, but being able to detect them and destroy them and protect them, not just the delivery systems, are all going to be very vital for the next major battlefield if and when it comes. The Chinese are ahead of us somewhat. The Russians are ahead of us somewhat, maybe. But we can catch up very quickly, and it's all hands on deck. And there's a lot, as you see, 1,000 new employees going out there. Many of them are engineers, contractors. They're working on these projects. They bring, with that comes a lot of housing issues. They're screaming for affordable housing right now. Many of them are living in other counties and commuting in. Manchester's building very quickly. Thousands of properties have been constructed or are under construction or have some type of permit pulled for residences. Tullahoma is just now starting some major development. They were stagnant for quite a while, but I believe they approved 99 houses on one project, and they're looking at another one for a couple hundred. So they're moving forward with some housing. But we're going to have to really catch up. Of course, that takes utilities catching up and infrastructure being upgraded. Eventually, there's going to be more individuals needed for patrol and protection in the sheriff's department. And another ambulance on the road, which we're already struggling to keep 5 ambulances on the road. Today, I spoke to our director over there, and we've only had 3 on the road for a while. And COVID's hit a couple folks. We've had some illnesses. And anybody that operates a business, or if you've just been to a restaurant lately, you know that the post-COVID world, everything's different. Everything's a little slower and a little harder to come by. And so we're having to maybe get some incentives out there for some more EMS employees. We're trying now to reimburse them for their education. We've got a policy in place now where we'll pay for their education as long as they'll stay a certain number of years. If they leave before then, we do a pro rata. But we want folks to have education and training. We want the best employees here in this county. We're trying to get folks up to a living wage that like our librarians, our sanitation workers and things, we've needed to bring them up a little bit, and some of our base pay for our employees. And at the same time, we're lucky here, but we're blessed. We have the internet sales tax has really helped us. And we've gone from kind of robbing Peter to pay Paul for the last 3 decades to actually having a healthy fund balance now and being able to sit back and pay our bills on time and to take deliberate decisions on things and not whiplash decisions. So I want to stay that way. But we can get to where we're back the other way with this growth if we're not careful.
Yeah, going off script here a little bit, I guess some of the challenge with growth is you got to pay now from the county before you get tax revenues down the road, and that is quite a challenge. Challenge is balancing that because we're not used to doing that.
It is, and I'll bring up something: impact fees, some type of something on the developers as an interim flow for income into the county. We need to look at that. The state has a ban on a county just being able to pass an impact fee and pass that money straight on to growth. That money has to mostly go to education. And we do need to fund education wholly, but us having 3 school systems makes that difficult too, because when a dollar comes in, it doesn't just go to Coffee County, even though Coffee County residents may pay it. It's also being split with Tullahoma and Manchester.
Right.
So we may get a dollar here, but we may only really get, the county may only get 25 cents of it. The school system gets 75 cents spread out. So we need a little bit, probably to pass a state law to change an act that was passed in 2006 that would allow counties to directly receive some impact fees from developers. And there's a coalition of county governments that I'm working with now that have been working to pass that. And had a little opposition from the real estate market, obviously, and some developers because they don't want to have to pay it. And I get that totally, and we're trying to negotiate our way through it. But there is a gap between individuals starting to build houses and starting to habitate neighborhoods and the sales taxes, the property taxes coming online to pay for those things. And so we're negotiating our way through that too. It's a daily issue.
Yeah, that's just always keeping your finger on the pulse of the budget. I get a lot of questions from folks, especially on the school board, about the mega site. But really, can you give us an update on that? Where exactly is it located? Some of its unique features, the development potential, and the development time frame. I know the state is involved at this point, but some of those things take years and years to develop because there's no infrastructure.
They do. Bottom line is, for about 2.5 years, the state has entertained about 1,800 acres, about a mile north of Manchester, in between Highway 53 and Highway 55, sort of where Woodall Grain is the kind of the middle section on 55, and then back behind Wayside Acres and New Union Elementary. That area would be the 55 area. The state is buying the land. The governor passed it in his budget and signed it in June of this year. The State Building Commission, which approves real estate transactions for the state, approved it 2 weeks ago. Of course, today's date is September 1st. And they've set a closing, or they're setting a closing date, which I anticipate will be within about 90 days. The purchase price is approximately $25 million. The state of Tennessee is purchasing it, and it is going to happen. I'll give you a good example of why we know it's going to happen. We're trying to build a new TCAT here in Coffee County, Tennessee College of Applied Technology. And the county had given them 7.25 acres in the joint park to build on. Now that it looks like the new Coffee County, and it was coined a mega site for a long time, but the official name is going to be the Coffee County Interstate 24 Industrial Park.
Okay.
Will be the official name. TCAT has given us a letter of intent to move there. And my understanding is that they're going to build a very large campus, probably one of the largest in the state, for College of Applied Technology. It may incorporate a welcome center into the industrial site. We don't know. The site itself is being visited regularly and by businesses that need that kind of acreage, need that kind of location with close to the interstate, 4 lanes on both sides, rail right through the middle of it. Not a lot of wetlands. There's several hundred acres of wetlands there, which will be preserved. There'll be a natural area there. But we will see, in my opinion, probably within the next year, a tenant or tenants will give an intent to occupy that.
Okay. Well,
I think you'll see TVA has already done a lot of due diligence there about how to provide power. We've got national gas companies have looked at providing utilities there. I think a new wastewater treatment plant of some kind will be put there to handle what is there. That location, Manchester, has some struggles with its wastewater infrastructure now. And anything we do is going to be under great scrutiny, whether it's the city or the county with wastewater, because we're right at the head of the Duck River. So whatever new treatment facility is built there or facility is built to help Manchester, it's going to have to be very modern and very efficient. And so that's a good thing because we need those services very badly for all the houses out there. I think you'll see a lot of probably roads being built within the park. You'll probably see some additional rail heads being put in soon. And I think we'll find a tenant. We just have so many people looking at it. We have so many people that have been brought over to look at it. We're going on some recruiting trips in January to look at some other individuals. I hope it's an industry that fits well for this community and fits well for our existing industries here. The state looks at all these things, and they're, of course, they want to create as many jobs as possible, and also to have something that's sustainable and something that the community that will embrace it at some point for sure. It's going to be a lot of change for everybody. The state has built many mega sites in the past, but they haven't had one in 4 or 5 years, and so this is a big step for the state, and we're actually blessed to have it here in Coffee County. And I appreciate the families that own the land for staying together so long and working so hard to as one to work through some differences with the state. I just know a lot of people are looking at it. I've been to it many times. It's a beautiful stretch of land, and dove hunted on there as a kid, and it's still rolling farmland. And until it's occupied, it will still be farmland. And even if it's occupied partially, what's left will be farmland. There's agreements with existing landowners and some others to make sure that happens. And I think it'll be beautiful when it's done and just awesome.
I know it's still up in the air, but do you visualize like one big tenant and then some smaller companies in there, like TCAT you mentioned? And
Yes, sir. I see that. But for existing an original equipment manufacturer, it could be a bus company, it could be a car company, build train cars there. Maybe a defense industry of some kind. And I think the TCAT will be available as like a feeder institution for there, but they'll also continue with their base curriculums that they do now with nursing and HVAC and welding and IT and those types of things. But this is the great thing about TCATs. When I was first in the legislature, we had about 30 of them across the state. And they were quite rigid in their curriculum, but now they're very malleable. And so part of the curriculum is going to be standard, but the other part is going to be catered to the community. And they'll probably have a much bigger campus there than they would have in the joint park. And we're looking forward to all that.
Yeah, nice. I'm
The
a
state,
big
of
fan
course,
that.
it's a cooperation between the county, the state, and the federal government.
Okay.
And it's all hands on deck for that too.
Yeah, which makes it complicated too, is pulling all those various
It does.
people
And,
together.
yeah, the fact that we're glad the governor pulled the trigger on it, so to speak, and because that now the other dominoes are falling in place. Like the TCAT wanted to be there, but they can't be there until it's a done deal. They know that. We know that. Nobody can, and government can never promise you anything 100%
Yeah.
until it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Until it happens.
I understand. I'm a fan of TCAT because I'm a big fan of the VOTEC education.
It's a great reemergence of that curriculum. You it became very dormant for a long time, and the career and technical education just was able to keep up a little bit, but now we're getting back into, not everybody has to go to college. For 10 years, the General Assembly and the governors we got to get 4 years, everybody needs 4 years of college. And now you can make a heck of a lot more money quicker.
Yeah.
With a good skill and a good trade that's desperately needed.
And I can tell you, I just based on what we look at sometimes is finding a plumber or a handyman or somebody to repair your car or your HVAC. It's hard to find people. So there's work out there for those people.
That's right. And those are great jobs too, and jobs you can be proud of, and $40, $60, $80 an hour jobs.
Right. Yeah, no slouch. And we've talked about that before, but I'm a big fan of that. Okay. Well, and this probably is really a long-term one, but the landfill out next to the high school, I hear some rumors that they're winding down the cleanup out there, and that may eventually be available. And I'm not hearing anything about what kind of time frames we're looking at, but that land may be eventually available for development too. So.
Man, could you imagine? That's a premium piece of land. It's hard to believe we ever put a landfill there in the first place.
Yeah.
But it is Air Force land. Of course, we had some problems there. The Air Force did. It was a Superfund site for a long time. And I guess to back up what you're hearing through the grapevine, I have noticed that they're not there burning off fuel every day. They used to be there every day burning off the gases that it was creating. You don't see them there every day now. You see the gate locked. So obviously something has improved. They've done an extraordinary amount of retro work to clean that land up. And at some point, it may be available. I don't know what we could put on there. Maybe you could put a building on there. Maybe it would be fields for something. I just don't know. But I would like to see that get back into circulation because it's a prime piece of land. But we also know it's a landfill. So what can you do on top of a landfill? I don't know. It would be geologically, it'd be hard to put a heavy building and things like that on it, probably due to the decomposition that we know is taking place underneath it, and the ground's going to shift. But it would be nice to get those fences out of the way, and at least maybe we can make it a beautiful green space.
Nothing else. Well, you can build on it. Sometimes they'll put piers down to bedrock, and so there's things you can do. It just costs you more money. That's how much are you willing to spend, I guess.
Well, that piece of land would attract folks that may be able to do more than that.
People would look at that pretty heavily. I know some people even put solar farms on it out there, so that's good.
It's a good idea, but I would like to see it beautified.
Yeah. The solar farm right next to the 55 would probably be a little ugly, but okay. One thing we're seeing, obviously, is with the nighttime closures on I-24s, they're doing the lane expansion, and we're doing 3 lanes from from
basically the Grundy County, the 127, and the bottom of the mountain, linking up with exit 81 in Murfreesboro. Of course, this is a long project. It's about, say, $930 million project. It's very expensive. But the state and the federal governments have done a great job in keeping those lanes open for development. There's not been any encroachment on there. And it's really, the geography is not that bad in most of the areas. Put it in perspective, this stretch of road we're doing, which is about 40-something miles, is $1 billion. To go from Nashville to Clarksville, which is roughly the same amount of distance, or just south of Clarksville, is about $4 billion, just due to the geography, going through that rock. And there's some relocation of businesses that have been too close to exits and things. So we've done a great job. The state's done a great job, really, and the federal government keeping those corridors open. And if you drive up and down there, you'll see the lane closures. They're starting the prep work. They're clearing land. They're doing things, and it's just going to start coming together. And it's going to really going to Murfreesboro now is quite aggravating. And going to Nashville, I do everything I can now to avoid a trip to Nashville.
Exactly.
And if you've got to be there at 9 a.m., you better leave at 6 or 5. Just get there early and eat breakfast close to where you're going to meet, and then get out of there before 3 o'clock, or you've got 2 hours in there. When I was in the legislature, I was fortunate enough to commute nearly every day, and it wasn't bad. I could jump in my car and decompress on the way home in an hour and 15 minutes. But now I would get
More.
cortisol would go through the roof in traffic every day. So.
Yeah, and all you need to do is look at the guardrails between Coffee County and Murfreesboro to see all the crashes that are taking place on there. That
It
an extra
really
lane
is.
would help with that.
Every day when I do go up there, it's like somebody almost sideswipes me every time. It's really a treacherous track of road, and
It is.
And then you look at the traffic as in this county is becoming really great. TDOT is trying to redo a lot of our intersections with new signaling, and Manchester has been the beneficiary of that first, and that's really helped at Hillsborough and 41. Tullahoma's getting the similar type of intersection at Wilson Avenue and Cedar Lane. That's what we're having to relocate our health department. But those areas are very congested in the morning and the evenings. Here in Manchester, around Hills Chapel and back in that area, it's just extraordinary amount of traffic. And the other day, I went to meet our district attorney for lunch to just discuss some things, not bad things, good things. And it took a long time to get from near the courthouse in Manchester over to where the restaurant's there over by Walmart. This traffic was so many people, and just growing. Manchester's really busting at the seams.
Yeah, it is. People are seeing that every day. So how does that benefit the county other than just making the commute a little better if you're going elsewhere? Do we see
On I-24?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's good. We're going to get new bridges. We're going to get a lot more access to the exits that we have. The defense industry is not going to be. We've got to make sure ADC is unencumbered if it ever needs the roadways it needs, all the way from Huntsville to ADC to Oak Ridge. We need for the Defense Authorization Act is helping pay for some of these roads to make sure that our bases are secure. Obviously, the commute times are going to cut down. We have about 6,000 people that live in this county that go out to work in other areas, and our industrial board has a graphic, if anybody wants it, that tracks the people that come in and the people that go out. And we have a lot of people live in Murfreesboro areas that come here to work, and then we have the vice versa. We have a lot going to Murfreesboro. We have people going to Columbia. We have a lot going to McMinnville. But if you're using I-24 and your commute to Murfreesboro may be an hour and 15 minutes now, once we get 3 lanes, I hope to cut that down to more traditional. And of course, when you have accidents, you have more room to move them out of the side of the road.
Right.
You have more room for emergency equipment to get through. So it should cut down on our commute times. It should make everything safer. And we should see new infrastructure coming in. And at the same time these things are being done, the county's looking at also running some projects at the same time. And that's what our strategic development committee is looking at. And I know one of them we'll talk about next. So the 105.
Yeah, the 105 exit, that's our next topic here. Busy corner, as a lot of people know it. Sewer and water expansion, the development potential. We see people already working up there in anticipation.
Definitely want it, and it's manifest destiny. We're going to get it. Manchester, we don't know who. We hope Manchester will be the one that supplies the water. Obviously, we'll have to use their sewer. At some point, the county may be involved in some wastewater treatment, too. I've had some, this is just conjecture right now, but with the new I-24 industrial site, if there's going to be a new wastewater plant there, the county's prepared to help them operate it, and be a great service to our county citizens that way if they need that. And I think it would take a lot of pressure off Manchester too. Right now, Manchester has a lot of pressure, so much pressure on their system. It's difficult for them to look strategically at going to 105. We as a county are ready to go. And we're ready to invest the money. We're ready to invest the time to build this. As they build I-24, if we need to go under the interstate, we want to make sure our timing is with them so that we don't have to do a special closure of the interstate and cost a lot more money. We're not going to be able to run water across the bridge overhead just due to the freezing temperatures. It needs to go underground. So we're looking at all those things long term, but we're ready to go. City of Manchester will soon be ready to go. I know Mayor Howard and the board are working very hard with TDEC to fix the problems that they have here so that they can expand and take care of this new population. It's just growing pains. It's nothing but that. Nobody's made any mistakes here that anybody's saying. It's just so much is happening so soon, and Manchester was a sleepy place for a long time. And for whatever reason, all the growth that Tennessee saw in the last 10 or 12 years missed us. It went to Columbia, a lot of it went to Bedford County, a lot of it went to Rutherford and just stayed and got bigger. Hamilton County got a little bigger on the other side of the mountain, but we just stayed insulated from all that for whatever reason. But now it's the converse. Those folks are in the intermediate stage. Everybody's coming to Coffee County now. And it's just, our commissioners have to wrap their heads around it. I have to wrap my head around it. I've seen growth like this and helped foster growth like this in a good way in other parts of the state, but many of our commissioners, I think it's their first time seeing some of these things coming, and it takes a while to digest it all. And so we're working with everybody to make sure that we can make the right decisions and move forward. For instance, we don't have a clear policy on how to provide potable water to our citizens outside the county. And we have a lot of water pipe that we've already purchased for things like that. And we have 3 different entities that provide water: Manchester City, Hillsville, and West Warren. But on the September 12th meeting, I've asked with actually Commissioner Tim Morris is spearheading this. We're going to have a real discussion on how do we create a policy within the county so that the mayor's office and that committee, whichever one is empowered, can make a decision and move forward and lay some water pipe and get some water out to folks. Because it's just as important, it's vitally important. Ben Lohman's working hard to get internet out to vast parts of the county. And if anybody has any questions about that, Ben Lohman has a great map that I'm sure they'll share with you that shows exactly where they're building now and where they plan to build in the future. And there's 5 major growth areas that they have. And then once they get those completely looped in, they'll start into the peripheral neighborhoods. And I had a good briefing from them a couple of weeks ago, and they're working hard. But we need to be able to do the same thing with water. So many houses are being built. They're not all going to be on wells. Some wells are already dry this time of year. And we've got water lines that are like a broken spider's legs.
Yeah.
But we've got to be able to tap into those and move on. And we need to be able to enter into agreements with Hillsville and West Warren or the city of Manchester to get that done. And it's just more and more cases of that piling up. And we don't have a clear directive on how to do this. So I want the commission to work with me, give me a directive, so when people come in here, I can walk with them to start the process to get them water.
All right, yeah, because without water.
Well, and you look, I left out the Wartrace Water District too. So we have 4. Wartrace does come in, and they're very rickety. Anybody watching this in that neighborhood that has Wartrace water, I promise you, I know the challenges you're facing. We deal with it. I know you're dealing with water pressure, you're dealing with leaks. But fire protection is a big thing. We need to have certain pressures for firefighting. So the Wartrace is another thing and it's difficult to deal with all 4 entities and try to come to one common solution. So I think a directive from the mayor's office from the commission on how I can deal with this is important. If not, I can only tell people that I'll listen and try to take it up with somebody. But I want to be able to make a decision and move on.
Because you got to have the plans in place in order for it to happen.
People have to have water. Businesses have to have water. And it just needs to be done.
Yeah, and water. I'm a water guy. I'm a hydrogeologist, but yeah, water wells are great, but city water, and where you're expanding and stuff, that's really the way you need to go, and it needs to be planned.
And West Warren has planned for this. They built a 2.2 million gallon tank, and they're prepared to provide water to the whole north end of the county.
Yeah.
And so it may just be that we begin to take that over. They begin to take it over, and we help them do it. The general consensus is that if we can get a utility district to provide the service, then the county can provide the piping to go there.
Yeah. No, I know they built that new tank up on Paul Harrell Road up there, which is close to me. But are they planning another tank in the Beech Grove area?
I don't know if they are. I've not heard anything about it. I'll be glad to ask when I talk to them. I have a lot of friends on that board because I was their legislator for a long time.
Yeah.
And they included me in all their plans. And the one they built, the new one they built, it's been about 7 or 8 years now, was to prepare for this growth. They knew it was coming from north into the county. so much pressure coming out of Rutherford County.
Right.
Put it into perspective, Rutherford County has eclipsed Hamilton County in population. And we're literally right next to us. You've got 375,000 people there, and then you have a beautiful county with lots of open land still with 60,000 people roughly in it. I think we're about 62 or 63. But they're coming this way. And Bedford County is coming this way through the War Trace area. I don't have to tell anybody that lives down there when you see the development on all those houses, see the value of the properties has gone up. Can't find an acre of developed land ready to be developed now for less than 30 or 40,000 if you're lucky. And a big tract of land is almost unaffordable for the average person. And a starter home is $325,000 to $340,000, and a good used broken-in home is anywhere from $325,000 to $500,000.
It's crazy. Yeah,
It is crazy. When interest rates have gone up, roughly you're looking at 7.5% to 8.25% for a 30-year loan. You're very quickly into $2,200 mortgage payment if you're not careful. And the median income here, that's more than half of the median income almost. It's unaffordable.
It's challenging.
And then you add the cost of utilities, the cost of groceries, the cost of commute, vehicle, gasoline. You're upside down very quickly. It's frustrating. What we hope we don't see is a lot of foreclosures in the future from balloon notes and things of that nature, but that's normally an effect of this. But we hope that won't happen here. When I talk to real estate professionals, they see markets slowing down in a lot of areas, and it has slowed a little bit here. 6 months ago, 8 months ago, a house was on the market, boom, it was gone with 5 offers. Now you're seeing some stay 30 or 40 days, but still, nobody expects it to decline very much, just due to the people that are moving in here that have liquidity and the growth that we have coming in, and the demand for houses is going to remain high.
Right. So the local market is going to probably
continue to at least hold its own. I don't know if it'll explode again like it did, but it's going to at least probably hold its own where it is. It may still level out a little bit over the years, but I don't see, barring a national recession of some kind that's just beyond everybody's foresight and control, I don't see anything really.
So our last topic, and I guess we've talked about a little bit, is the northern part of Coffee County, the influence of Rutherford County, and we talked about a little bit, but are there any plans that you know about for any development around exit 97 up there at Beech Grove? And
I don't know of any. As far as businesses, I do know that we're looking at, I'd like to get an ambulance substation out there, and probably another fire substation in the future. I think we're going to need a school out that way. But with our strategic planning, I want to look at maybe getting a piece of land, holding on to it for school in the future. I think we're definitely going to need one. And also, like I said, an ambulance. And it's just a matter of time probably before we see some more service stations development around the 97. It's probably coming. But I don't know if nothing's coming through the Planning Commission that I know of yet, and nothing has been proposed yet.
Okay. Mainly just houses right now.
There's a lot of houses right now, and they're popping up everywhere.
But. All right. I think that runs through all my questions. Any general comments on what's going on? We've kind of hammered on it pretty good here.
I want to encourage everybody to pay attention to what's going on in Coffee County government. All of our committee meetings now are streamed online, live, and they're archived on our YouTube channel. So you can watch how everybody votes. You can watch all the discussions. All of our county commission meetings are now live streamed and archived. Our work sessions, any official business is done that way. This office is always open. Come in and talk to myself or Connie or Sam Harper about anything you need. We've got commissioners that are doing a great job, and I think the commissioners that are chairing our committees they're at the helm of the ship that they're comfortable in. And I've asked all the commissioners if they want to make any changes this month to let me know. And nobody's come forward and said, I don't like the committees I'm on. And we will be creating a new public safety committee. The ambulance authority dissolved itself this past month. So the EMS services will come under my umbrella here at the mayor's office instead of a separate authority. So I'm going to empower a 5-member committee to help me regulate those guys, make sure that we can get those ambulances staffed, and we have enough paramedics and EMTs. We have a lot of stress on that population of workers just due to Vanderbilt's here now. We're close to Murfreesboro that pays more, and EMTs that live here are going to Murfreesboro to work, or they're working for Vanderbilt and one of these private companies. We have raised our wages, we still got we got more monies we need to recoup, and we've got modernization that we're going to have to see in the future. And we're going to have to get another ambulance on the road soon. We're funded for 5, but we struggle to keep 5 on the road every day, and it's due purely to staffing issues. But be proud to live in Coffee County. We have nothing but opportunities here. It's a beautiful place. We've got beautiful old stone fort. I hope we can keep our bridge. I'm very
Keep the bridge.
Yeah, I support an option to keep that. I think you'll see the county commission is going to bring a resolution forward for that also. I think Manchester City is bringing one forward, and we'd like for the state to. My understanding is if the state will appropriate some funding to the state park for the maintenance of that bridge, that we could perhaps keep it. I know there's some things to work out with the neighbors on Country Club Drive, and the state's working through that. But any option that can keep that bridge in Coffee County, at least the mayor's office, and I think you'll see the commission in the future is going to support that. If you haven't been to Old Stone Fort lately, go again, because it's just an awesome site. And the tourism's booming in Coffee County. We've got a good relationship with Bonnaroo, work through all our issues, and I think that's going well. And we're a hospitable place for business and industry, and I really feel that we have the right people in place and the right departments, agencies, and authorities in this county to work forward. Proud to do it. I'm glad you're on the school board too. You guys have a constant, struggle.
Yeah. That's always something. I never thought it would be.
When you look at the funding levels between the 3 schools, you guys are on such the hind end. It's very difficult to compete. It's very difficult to compete. Oh, one more thing, Tom.
Sure.
Health insurance and benefits. We have for about 8 months now been interviewing health insurance companies, benefit companies, and we're on the cusp now, hopefully, of engaging a new group that will help us with a self-insurance plan like many cities do, and also a clinic here for county employees and their dependents, and a real clinic staffed by a physician. And we're at the point now where we're going to present that to the county commission on September 7th in a work session. You're free to watch that on our channel, and tell them the benefits long-term of this. We won't see any great savings the first year, but after the first year, when we get our utilization under control and our pharmacy under control, which will also operate a closet pharmacy for non-controlled substances here, and have a mail order pharmacy for your biologics and monthly things like that, you see a real decrease in costs, which we want to pass that on to the employees as part of their additional compensation package. And we want employees to be able, while they're on the clock, and their families to be able to come and not pay anything for services and see a real physician and get real care. So we're working that, and we're using a model that's already been tested in many cities, about 14 here in Tennessee. Works well.
You definitely want to keep your employees healthy because they're on the job then.
That's right.
All
and
right.
control those costs, because that's one of the biggest factors we have. So my office has got a lot of balls in the air, and I'm always open to any suggestions anyone has, any advice. And proud of the opportunity to serve.
And I can say that you are open to everybody. You just walk in and say hi. Great things are happening in Coffee County. So, and we'll talk again. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We'll talk
very
again
much.
in another 3 months or so and get caught up on all the fun things that are happening at that point in time. So,
one more thing, spay and neuter your animals. Guys, this is very important. We've got an explosion of cats in this county, and our animal shelter right now is at max. So spay and neuter your pets. And also, if you can find it in your heart to get some dog food, cat litter, or anything like that, get it to the Humane Society or get it to the animal shelter. It's a big help. We do fund them some, but we don't fund them enough, and that's critically important. And in this office, you may be greeted by a black German Shepherd when you come to my office, but he's friendly. I promise you.
all right.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Mayor.
man. Thank you.